went and picked up our order. Fit inside the CRV, everything that you saw in the video. Now this is heavy. This is that top piece of the cabinet system for the washer, the dishwasher, and the sink. You got to be real careful with this. I mean, it's not unbearably heavy, but it's not light. Step one, it showed these being to the outside, and that snaps down with the higher portion up here. That's what it actually shows in the diagram. With these areas that you're going to lock that down being to the outside, and it also indicates that that hole, these drill holes, should be face up. So we got step one done. All right, so step two, opposite of what we did, just on the other side. So just to show you what I was talking about, that being pressed down. Now this, on this side, has to be, when you put this first one in, you may be confused on which way it goes. I was. So you have to flip it around because it can only go in one way. So, and again, these need to be to the outside. It's probably the easiest way to tell if you've done it correctly, is those will be to the outside. So I'm just pressing that down, making sure it's in there secure. Step three, I guess it doesn't matter because the holes will be face up no matter what, because it goes all, the hole goes all the way through. This piece goes in, and you press it down. All right, that one's in, easy enough. We have this type of plumbing for the kitchen sink, and it tells you if you have this type of plumbing where it comes straight up out of the floor, then you need to go to page 15. Step 4, if you have this type of plumbing, shows that you go to this step, and this is 151931. You'll have 4 of these screws. You have 2 of these brackets in a plastic covering, and those 2 screws are going to go in here, and we're going to mount those on the side here. You're going to have to press these out to the edge. If you don't, bracket won't fit in. So yeah, I'm going to have to get a bigger Phillips. I went too small on that one. All right, so now we'll run those down. 100, 455, 14 with this bracket here, the 102, 720. Should have 2 of these brackets, and you should have 8 of these. Adjust it, because it adjusts. It gives you a slot in there to kind of be able to move that up and down or side to side if it's on top. So now we'll put the other one. Get it up there even with the edge here. So I'm just going to place it on there so it's even. Good, we got that on. That was step 5. 108-00488 right here. That's this bar. Notice it has a little peg here. It's going to go in there with that larger hole on top. So it's going to go fit in like that. 130-884. And then you have 130-886. So the first one is threaded. The other one inserts into that. So it acts like an anchor. That one goes in, that one goes in, and then you take the ones, the smaller ones that are gray, and press those in. And then they should snap in there. There we go. If you have the legs, you go here. If you have the border, the bottom portion, where you can't see underneath, you go to page 13. We don't have that, so we're going to go right down here, and we're going to mount the hardware, the legs that came with it. Step 8, and so we took 1,656 and 54, these little brackets. So that's on the back left-hand corner, larger hole closer to this side, smaller hole further away. You can see I've already placed them up here. These are the brackets here. They go just like that in those corners. So this is the larger hole, that's the smaller hole, and they go flush right up against where those 2 meet. Hardware for the legs, if you have this one, that's number 9. We've got a smaller screw. That's going to be 109-503. And then you'll have this larger Phillips head screw, which is 100-455-13. So So I've already got the legs on, and it shows to put both of those screws in. I'm going to put this larger one in first because it's already threaded. There's something to thread it into. That'll help me get that one aligned, and then I'll take the Phillips head and run this one down, and it shows you right here where they go on the edge. And that's how we've got it set up, just like the photo. So I got the larger screws in. You notice there are 4 screw holes or 4 drill holes here on that. So I know I've got it lined up. It shows that those are facing out, these larger threaded areas, that's what I've got it threaded into. And it looks like it stops on that side, so that would make sense. The reason I'm checking that, there's no hole drilled in this for these screws, but they look like they're self-tapping. So and there's not one on the other side, so I know it has to go here, but I just want to see how it fits in. I guess you get it lined up, but I don't want to split that. So I'm going to take a small drill and drill that out. Into that, but I wanted to drill those out, and I used a really small bit. It shows that you have 2 of these, which we do with each one of these legs, and it shows to take some tape. So I just took some painter's tape, and to have that come down, it looks like about a ½ inch or so, and just tape that on there. So I'm going to do it. Don't know what it's for yet. All right, so 10 and 11 are just a repeat for those other 4 legs, and they go out to the outer edge because we don't have the border that goes around, so we're not going to page 13. We'll end here with 10 and 11 for the legs. If we don't have the border, we're doing this step, so we'll put the next 2 legs on, same process, all the way out to the outer edge, and then after that we jump to, I know it's hard to see, page 25. All right, same process as before. This smaller hole is out to the closer to the edge, just like it was. That's going to be for that smaller screw. Larger screw is going to go here once we put the leg on. The leg will go all the way to the outer edge, just like we did there. I'm just making sure it matches up to what we have over there. Put this larger screw in just to kind of hold it in place. It's fine if it kind of moves around for right now, but we'll drill that hole again. All right, so this is a 7/64 drill bit. Don't go all the way through. That looks like that's about 3/4 of an inch. At most, maybe a ½ inch. I'm probably going 3/8. You don't want to drill it out too much because you want the screw to fit, but I was worried that that smaller screw might split it. So let's go ahead and run that down in there. Yeah, that feels good. I'm going to keep it in position. And since this is going right into particle board or wood, whatever they're using, I think it's particle board, don't tighten it down too much because you don't want it to pull it out. So on page 25 it shows to flip it over, but to be careful and not put it right on one leg because you might break it off. And be careful slamming it up against the wall because you might break the legs. To lay it down nice and easy in the spot you need to go, and then we'll move to this, and it shows you your max, min and max, that you can raise it up. And I'm going to have to, because I haven't ripped up all this floor yet, I'll have to adjust the flooring because one part is going to be on the floor, one part won't. Oh, that's perfect. Good. So that kind of shows us where it's going to go. So if we're looking down on a clock, going clockwise is going to raise it up, I believe. So I'm just going to run these out by hand first. What I decided to do is knock out that next row because we're going to redo the floors anyway. And that would allow me to kind of thread these in, get it fairly level. To go page 28 if you can see the studs. If you can't, go to page 33. So we've got to go to page 33. I know what it's going to tell us. It's going to tell us to go ahead and mount it into the wall, but I can't do that yet because I do have it level, but I'm also going to redo those floors. So I want to be able to lift it up when I redo the floors, kind of jack it up. So I'm not going to mount it to the wall yet. step 20 on how to use these brackets with the associated screws that go along with it. And so you would mount those up and use that screw to kind of lock it into place. We're not doing that step yet. All right, so I'm going to take each one of these so I don't lose them. So when I get ready to mount it, it'll already be up in there. And I won't have to worry about it getting lost. And it'll be ready for us. So since our pipes come out of the wall instead of out of the floor, we're still on this path. It shows to go ahead and assemble the other countertop and link those together. I'm going to jump ahead before I put this on, so we'll come back to that. It's not numbered, it's just showing you that those go together. And we're on this one here because our plumbing doesn't come out of the floor, so that's the reason we didn't put that part on the back. We're still here on part 20, and it shows to put the doors on next. And then once you put the doors on, then you can move to 21, and then 22 is putting this piece in the back. But before I put the doors on, I thought it would be easier, just looking through this, to go ahead and put this piece on, 22. It's putting that slat in the back. And we have 4 of these, and they are 100, 438, 47. Just because I don't have this mounted to the wall yet, I thought it would be easier to put these in first before we put the doors on, because I didn't want to lay it face down on the door and damage anything, damage the hinges or anything like that. So I'm going to jump to this step, and then I'll come back to 20. So we're going to take these pieces, that is 100, 438, 7, and we're going to insert those where they go. I think you just have to push these in and thread those in. Yeah, there we go. So these will have to be face up for that slat to slide in there. So I'm going to do the rest of those. But we just put 4 of these in. And now we're going to slide that slat down. And that will go, all of this will go down. And you'll want the closer edge, you want it to snap in like this, because it'll only go in one way. You can't turn it this way, because then these holes would be too far apart. You're going to have to turn it over here, slide that down, get these lined up. So go ahead and get those lined up first so you don't put too much pressure, because when I was putting those in, it didn't feel like they were threaded in very well. So I want to make sure they're lined up, and then just kind of press those in so you don't break them. So what I am going to do while I've got this apart, so I took those other tiles up so that I could do the floor later on. I'm going to run these out as far as they'll go. Get it as tall as I can, even if it's way taller than the floor. And the reason I'm doing that, so when I get ready to do the flooring, if this is mounted to the wall, I can thread these in at one time, put the flooring underneath it, without having to take this back out if I decide to mount it to the wall. I'm going to see if this will completely unthread all the way. Yeah, it will. So I'm going to put it in with just a couple of turns. 3 turns, I guess. And I can get that level later on with my level. But I'm going to do that on each side. All right, so now we did all 3 of those. We can go ahead and pick this back up and put the doors on. We're going to go back to step 20, and this shows to put the hinges on. And we're going to use the hinge, which is 100, 38, 76, 9. That's those right down there in the box. All right, these come with their own screws installed. So that's what we'll be using to mount the hardware. So we're just going to lay the doors out, and then we'll go ahead and start working on these. In the diagram, it shows that these are inserted this direction, with this portion coming out, the part that's going to go into the cabinet. These already have circles drilled in and those fit. So you just line that up and then we'll screw those in. Just want to kind of eyeball it, make sure everything's lined up so that I'm not off and not putting a lot of stress. So I'm running these down at equal distances, meaning I don't want one offset from the next, and put a lot of stress on that hinge and strip out the area that it's threading into. So now I'm going back to step 21 once we have the hinges installed, and we're going to install these doors onto the cabinets. So we'll just slide those in and go ahead and install. Get the top one started. And these come with pre-installed screws as well. That one's starting way easier. Same thing applies. I don't want to get these offset. Make sure they're threaded in there equally. It does allow you to kind of adjust, it looks like, before you tighten them down. So you can slide these up or down. So before I do that, I'm going to run these down just a little bit more because I don't want them stripping out under the weight of the door. I just want to get these installed, and then we can adjust it as needed later on. Both sets of doors open and closed, so that's a good thing. All right. So we're good there. Good. We do need to put the handles on, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'll probably do that last. We did part 22, part 23. That's where we put the slat in the back. Now we're going to go to 24, and we're going to put these little pieces in here. Step 24, the rubber stops that prevent the doors from clanging up against the cabinet. That's going to be 10, 46, 63. Each door has one. That looks good. Kind of press it on there and hold it. Let it get good and stuck on there. So I'm just going to look to see where that one will be placed. That looks good. And page 44 shows you how to adjust your cabinets up and down. We're going to do that later on once we get the top on. But it shows you the adjustment screw to go vertically, and it shows you which screw allows you to kind of go front and back based on your needs. Right now I'm going to leave it as is because we're still got to do the other cabinets. So just to kind of conclude this video, because we haven't completed all the steps, we did go through it and talk about them. On step 21, where we mount it to the wall, we skipped that. Now I did put the mounting hardware in there because we're going to go later on because there's still some stuff I need to do before I can mount it to the wall because I'm still working on the flooring. Again, I didn't want to have to take it back off. So that would have taken us to step 16. Again, how to mount it, what to use to mount to the wall, anchor systems. It talks about going into the stud. And this is the mounting hardware at 18 that I just put it all together and put it in there so I wouldn't lose it, and I put these covers on. And it also showed to go ahead and assemble the other cabinet. We hadn't done that yet, and how to do that, and what to mount it with, and how to use these clamps, and how to drill these together. We're not doing that step yet. And how to put the countertop on. I'm not to that step because I still have all those screws that I've saved. There are 12 of them, and I haven't lost those. I'm going to keep it. We jumped to 20, put the doors on. We got the doors mounted. We did step 22 where we put that other piece horizontal instead of vertical because of our plumbing, and that includes step 23, step 24 with the rubber stoppers, and then saving that mounting hardware we didn't do because of the plumbing. And we talked about the adjustments Let me go to that page. It told us to jump to page 44, and then it tells us in step 21 and 22 for the type of cabinet we were constructing how to adjust those doors. We'll do that later after we get everything set up. So this is going to be a multi-part video, and I'll do the rest of the assembly in other videos. I don't want this one to be too long.